$15,000 to fly my family for my birthday. Instead they flew to Hawaii. My sister texted, "You're just a loser," so I took a screenshot of my bank account and sent them. Well, who's the loser here? Then they called nonstop. I stared at the calendar on my kitchen wall, tracing my finger over the date circled in red. 2 months until the big 30 years old. A milestone that seemed to demand some kind of recognition beyond just another birthday cake and a few drinks with friends. My name is Harper Wilson, and I haven't really spoken to my family in over 10 years, not in any meaningful way. At least the occasional holiday text message or obligatory happy birthday call doesn't count as real communication in my book. I live in Seattle now, about as far as I could get from my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina, without leaving the continental United States. The distance wasn't accidental. When I left home at 18, I wanted physical space to match the emotional gap that had formed between me and my parents. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. I studied hard, joined every extracurricular activity that would look good on a college application, and stayed out of trouble. My sister Amber, 2 years younger than me, was different. She was the pretty one, the fun one, the one who could charm our parents into giving her whatever she wanted. I had a plan. I knew that my parents had been saving money and educational funds for both me and Amber. I also knew that college was expensive, even with the full scholarship I was determined to earn. So I worked my ass off in high school, and it paid off when I got that letter from Westlake University offering me a full academic scholarship. The day I got that letter was one of the happiest of my life. I ran home, bursting through the front door, waving the envelope. Mom, Dad, I got full scholarship to Westlake. My parents were in the kitchen. Mom was cooking dinner while Dad sat at the table with a beer, helping Amber with what looked like math homework. "That's great, honey," Mom said without looking up from the stove. Dad gave me a thumbs up. "Good job, Harper." Amber just rolled her eyes and went back to her homework. It wasn't exactly the reaction I had hoped for, but I was used to it. That evening, I brought up the subject of the educational fund. "So, I was thinking," I said, pushing the peas around on my plate. "Since I got the full scholarship, maybe I could use some of my educational fund money to rent an apartment near campus. The dorms are really expensive, and I'd rather not have to work too many hours while taking a full course load." The silence that followed made my stomach clench. My parents exchanged looks, and then my dad cleared his throat. "Harper, there's not really money in your educational fund anymore," he said. I blinked. "What do you mean? You've been saving since I was born." "We've been using that money for years," my mom jumped in. "Raising you, feeding you, buying your clothes. That's what the money was for." Amber snickered beside me. "They bought me a car with some of it last month for my 16th birthday. Remember that blue Honda I showed you?" That's when it hit me. The money was gone, and not because it had been spent on my upbringing as my parents claimed they had spent it on themselves and Amber. If I hadn't gotten that scholarship, I wouldn't be going to college at all. I went up to my room that night and cried for hours. Then I made a decision. I would work at the local cafe as much as possible over the summer, save every penny, and then leave without looking back. The next few months were a blur of double shifts, skipped social events, and silent dinners with my family. Amber tried to goad me several times, making comments about how much our parents loved her, and how they were already planning to pay for her to go to some fancy private college in a few years. I didn't take the bait. I just kept my head down and worked. The only person I set a